Hello, this is Doe Wilkerson with Old School Boxing Talk 15. Yay. Okay, tonight we're going to call this the con game. Not Amir Khan, just the con game that's being played on us when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. Okay, here's where we got Golovkin, and this is where this game started, and this is my opinion of where this game is going to end. In my opinion. Like I said, this is not, some of it's fact, but some of it is my opinion from being a longtime boxing fan and seeing a lot of this stuff happen time and time again, especially with guys like Gennady Golovkin and how these guys are manufactured for a purpose. Now, during the weigh-in, there was a lot of questions about Golovkin looking drawn and looking unhealthy and were there problems, blah, 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 blah. Look, for the longest time, people have been telling you HBO and Tom Loaf and all these other people that have been telling you Golovkin's this monster. Some actually say he's the most feared fighter since Marvin Hagler. Bullshit. Okay, now, the truth about Gennady Golovkin, and this is fact. The three top guys in his division, Danny Jacobs, Chris Eubanks Jr., Peter Quillin, cannot, and look, even though Billy Joe Sanders has a belt, trust me, he got the belt because honestly that belt right now should be with Danny Jacobs, but because of the wretched, governing body and all the bullshit that goes on in boxing, WBO stripped Peter Quillin of that belt, and the belt hasn't mean, and then let me see, Andy Lee got it, and he lost to Billy Joe Sanders, who was holding the damn thing hostage. And it's also another reason for Golovkin to use that as his get out of fighting Danny Jacobs, Peter Quillin, and Eubanks Jr. card is, I need all the belts. Sanders is the guy that's sitting there, shit, I'm going to get, he's back up the truck for me. I want a whole lot to fight him. Now, Golovkin, this is what I think is going to happen with the next couple. The WBA has ordered a 4-man tournament because they're deciding they're going to clean up all their titles in all their divisions. Gennady Golovkin and his people have always talked about fighting our mandatories. We fight our mandatories. We fight our mandatories. Well, guess what? Danny Jacobs is your mandatory. And yet you're fighting a blown-up welterweight who lasted 5 rounds and pretty much the fight went as I expected it to go. And I told you that before. Kell Brooks figured if I'm going to lose, I'll lose up here at middleweight so it makes me look good. So I don't have to go and fight Earl Spence Jr. and get exposed. And, then he quit. Oh, my eye. Please, the eye didn't look that damn bad. Trust me, I've seen guys with worse-looking eyes. If you want to see a guy who's with a worse-looking eye injury than that, why don't you watch Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo? Watch that and look at Corrales' eyes. Corrales' eye was freaking shut, swelled up, and he still came up, got up, he can't stop because, fought on. So I don't want to hear about your eye. It didn't seem like Golovkin was hurting you too bad. I think you just figured, okay, I got in here, I went a couple rounds, I made my money, let's get the fuck out of here. And you did that. Yay, so now you're saying, oh, we're going down to 154, well, I'll be better. Of course you're going to 154 because you're now going to try to con your way into a fight with Canelo Alvarez. I told you all this. If you watch my video, Bait and Switch, everything I've been telling you is starting to come to pass. You went up there, you got beat up by Triple G. You made, so now you get some props because you went up to fight the quote-unquote boogeyman. So now you're going to drop down to 154 and try to con your way into a fight with Canelo Alvarez, who's looking for a dance partner. Okay, you can con your way. I would not be shocked if you con your way into a fight with Canelo. Because after all, now you've proven you went there, so Canelo, oh, can you get rid of me quicker than Triple G? Can you dominate me, blah, 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 blah. So is there a chance of that happening? There's a damn good chance that, Kell Brooks could wind up losing his 2 biggest fights, making a boatload of money, and then turn around and put himself in a position for a title because, Canelo's should Canelo beat well, Canelo should beat this kid he's fighting for the WBO junior middleweight title. Say Canelo says, okay, I'm going to have one fight. I'm going to defend this belt. Who's going to be there? Kell Brooks. That's a good big money winnable fight. So Canelo can sit there and smash Kell Brooks. What happens? Kell Brooks loses his next two fights. He then turns around and winds up fighting for the WBO Junior Middleweight Championship, and he'll be able to isolate himself away from the Charlo brothers, the Adesanya Lara, Demetrius Andre. Those four monsters, he'll be able to separate himself from those four monsters, keep that belt over in London, and hide out. And he also gets away from Earl Spence Jr. Made some money, lost two fights, made some big money. Now I get another belt on top of that, and I can make some money just fighting here in the UK. Yay! And I can talk shit about everybody when nobody wants to fight me. And that little credibility you got from your two losses will carry you for a little bit. For Golovkin, I see Golovkin. This is the beginning of Golovkin's. This is the beginning of his get out of the middleweight division free. Because here's the deal. Golovkin, in my opinion, does not want to fight Danny Jacobs, does not want to fight Chris Eubanks Jr., but he's going to have to keep that WBA title, because if the WBA sticks to its guns and says, hey, the top four guys need to fight it out, Jacobs, Eubanks Jr., and this other kid, I forgot his name, and Golovkin, these four guys have to get in this tournament that we're putting together, and they have to bang it out. We want one champion. Now, the WBA did show how it's sticking is because WBA did not sanction tonight's fight. So what would have happened had Golovkin lost was that the WBA would have then elevated Danny Jacobs to the super champion, thus moving Eubanks Jr. to regular, and this other guy who's the number one contender for I think, Eubanks' Porsche claim to the throne. They'd have moved him up to interim. But what the WBA is trying to do is trying to get rid of these belts. So the plan, this is how I would do. This is how I would do it, but I don't know if they're going to do it this way. But me personally, this is how I would do it. This guy who's the number one contender for Eubanks' version of the belt, let him fight Golovkin. Give Golovkin another cherry pick. Jacobs and Eubanks Jr., bang it out, babies. Y'all bang it out. Boom. Y'all bang it out. The winner there will then be the mandatory number one contender for Golovkin. Because, look, here's the bottom line. Both of y'all are not going to fight Golovkin. Let's be honest. Golovkin's not going to fight both of you, and he's only going to have to fight the one of you. Or we're going to start hearing about Abel Sanchez running his mouth about, oh, Galati can't make 160. It's getting hard to make 160. So now let's see. Up at 168, where Golovkin is where Abel Sanchez and those people are definitely afraid to go, that was closed up, but it just opened up. Because you don't want to fight Andre Durrell, who beat your ass in the amateurs. You don't want any part of James DeGale. You don't want Bio Jack. You don't want those three guys. But the WBA version of the super middleweight title, and you don't want the WBO champion either. So there are five guys you don't want. But the WBA title just happened to open up because of the drug deal with Sturm. So now we can weasel our way into that WBA belt at super middleweight and get an easy win, get an easy belt there at super middleweight. Boom, we're the champions. Cherry pick our way through that and talk shit about, oh, they don't want to fight. Just like at 160, I couldn't unify all the belts. They don't want to fight. And we'll talk about unifying all the belts. We damn well know we're not fighting on them. We're not unifying no damn belts. We're going to talk about unifying the belts, but we're not going to do it. And this is the thing. Recently, they came out with this story about how he knocked out Sergey Kovalev with a body shot in sparring. And how, according to Abel Sanchez, Sergey Kovalev's afraid of Golovkin. And Golovkin can handle Sergey Kovalev. Well, why don't you fight him? Why are you staying at 160? If you can beat the light heavyweight champion, why don't you jump up there and fight him? Oh, that's right, because a guy named Andre Ward is now there. See, the same guy named Andre Ward who HBO, your partner in crime, pushed out of 168 to protect your ass, and moved to the 175. Now your trainer, and a whole bunch of other people are running their mouth about, oh, we knocked out Sergey Kovalev with a body shot, blah 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 blah. Now people say, why don't you go fight Kovalev? Because you know if you fight Kovalev, you got to fuck with Andre Ward, or you have to do the unthinkable. You have to vacate one of them belts. And then the questions are really good. People go, well, maybe he's not the monster we thought he was. And we make it that question answered. Let's just say, for instance, now Golovkin stays at 160, and his quest to claim all the belts. Well, Peter Quillins has a belt. Eubanks Jr. has a belt. Let's say Eubanks Jr. and Peter Quillins battle it out. The winner of that fight, I don't care who it is, whether Eubanks Jr. Quillins, Eubanks Jr. Danny Jacobs. Winner of that fight has a portion of the WBA title. The WBA is saying you got to fight this guy. What I want to know now is, does Golovkin go in there and make that fight, or does Golovkin's vacate the WBA belt? You see, here's what I would do. Me personally, if I was the Danny Jacobs, Chris Eubanks, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna clear up my business with each other. Clear that up. Eubanks Jr., Danny Jacobs, bang it out. The winner take all. One of y'all winner, okay, win. Then I'm going to go over there and I'm going to talk. But before that fight, I'm going to talk to WBO. Say, hey, how can we become the mandatory? This fight become the mandatory for that WBO because we want to unify. And being a WBO is going to say, well, you have a junior title, whatever. We're not doing it. Well, what do I need to do to become the number one contender for your belt? Beat that guy. If we have to beat that guy, blast that guy. Now we come the number one contender for Billy Joe Sanders' belt. We're number one contender for Golovkin. Okay, we go over there and we beat Billy Joe Sanders. Blast him. Knock him the fuck off. Beat him. Now guess what? Whether it's Danny Jacobs or Chris Eubanks Jr., you're sitting there and you look at Gennady Golovkin and you're saying, well, you want all the belts? Well, I got belts here and you got belts, and well, what's the problem? If you're Danny Jacobs, same thing. I got belts, you got belts, you want all the belts? Let's do this. Now, what happens then if you call Golovkin's bluff? You make Gennady Golovkin shit or get off the pot. In my opinion, this is what you do. Now, does he do that? I don't think Golovkin takes the fight. I think what Golovkin does is he turns around and he makes an excuse. He can no longer make 160. He tries to squirm his way to 168 and wins that WBA belt there, and he can pretty much protect himself, and they can swim through all that without having to fight the real dogs up there. The Durrell brothers, BioJack, James DeGale, they can, or Ramirez, who's the WBO champion, they can swim their way through that and still talk shit, and Tom Loeffler and HBO and blah, 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 blah. Because it's already, and here's where he got a safety net. Andre Ward has already said, I'm not coming back. I can't go back to 168. I've done built up to 175. I can't get back to 168, so that's not happening. Okay. So Andre Ward has made it clear. So if Andre Ward beats Kovalev, which is I think he will, a lot of people other think he will, Andre Ward is in a good position. Because now HBO is going to need Andre Ward. Andre Ward's in a position should he beat Kovalev, that unless he's re-signed or got a re-signed or extended his contract with HBO, which I don't know if he did or didn't. I would hope he wouldn't, but you don't know what Rock Nation's going to do. You have a fight with the lineal, reigning, defending WBC light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson sitting there. Big money fight. Right there for you. And you can then go out there, you can, fight the unification fight, where it's on Showtime, which I think is where it's going to happen, because, that's where Stevenson is, plus the fact with HBO's little budget cuts, maybe HBO won't be able to afford it. Most likely they couldn't afford that fight. Because the HBO's going to want to stick all their big fights now, seeing like they're going to pay-per-view for their big fights and having very little fights on World Championship Boxing or Boxing After Dark. So there's a big thing going on. Also, there's a lot of interesting things. Danny Jacobs, like I say, Danny Jacobs did what he was supposed to do against Sergio Mora, who got a fight he didn't deserve. I mean, I see. There's a part of me that looks at Danny Jacobs, Sergio Mora too, and says, "Why the fuck you fight this guy? Why did you know?" Honestly, I would have rather them when Eubanks Jr. got conned out of his fight with Golovkin after having his hope built with. Why didn't Al Heyman and company go and try to make Jacobs versus Eubanks? That would have been a good fight to have. It would have been better than Mora because it would have proved something. It would have this whole 200 WBA's have would have pushed us forward in that process. Of boom, we're moving toward the point of no return. Because let's be honest, Billy Joe Saunders is not trying to fight anybody worth a damn. He got that belt. He's glad as hell he got that belt. He's holding that damn belt hostage. It's going to take a lot of money or being mandated, which I think is going more likely being mandated, for him to fight to defend that belt. He's not going to voluntarily fight nobody. He's proven that. He's shown that in his actions. He was supposed to be on the Canelo undercard. They offered him Rosado. The guys they offered him, he turned down. And I mean, God, come on. If you're that good, you're a champion. These guys are not world beaters. These guys are guys that are quality opposition, but they're guys you should beat. And it builds it up because you're saying, you're trying to get some exposure over here so people know something about you, and you're trying to build your possible fight with Canelo. But Sanders, I think Billy Joe Sanders is a guy, he got lucky. He won a belt. Because let's be honest, he got lucky beat Andy Lee. Because had Peter Quillins kept that belt, I don't think Sanders would have wanted that fight. Sanders would have took his European title and stayed there. Because I don't think he beats Peter Quillin. But that's where I am with this. That's my thoughts on this. Also, Robert Easter Jr. won an IBF title. I am so disappointed at the lightweight division. I am waiting for anyone. The legendary Roberto Duran set the record in that division for 11 title defenses. The next guy that came close to that was Shane Mosley back in his days as IBF champion. He had 8 before Mosley, of course, left the division to fight De La Hoya and won. I'm waiting for someone to unify and become a beast at 135. 135 has become a neglected division. I don't know why. It's one of the glamour divisions, one of the greatest divisions in boxing. Pernell Whitaker, Roberto Duran, as I mentioned earlier. So Ray Boom Mancini, Alexis Arguello. And even before that, with Luis Ortiz, Edwin Rosario. The list goes on of great lightweight champions. But as of recently, the 135-pound division has been disrespected. Now, there's hope though, because if Easter Jr. does what he is, Easter Jr. can be successful. And now Mikey Garcia, who's starting to return, says he's going to campaign at 135. It could be something, but I don't see Mikey Garcia being a long-term guy at 135. I see Mikey Garcia as maybe being a guy that will snatch a belt or two, fight a couple fights, and Michael Garcia looks like he's going to head to 140 and onward to 147. That's my opinion of where I see with Mike Garcia. I don't see him, but I'm waiting for one of these good young lions, to step up in 135 and just become a dominant lightweight champion, because we need the dominant lightweight champion. We haven't had a great dominant lightweight champion in a long time. The lightweight division could really use that shot in the arm, that great champion, because there's some talent there, but you need a great champion that'll make these featherweights, these junior lightweights, come up to say, hey, this is a guy, worth fighting, I mean, when Duran was at lightweight, that's where all these guys were looking at. It was supposed to be Duran versus Arguello. That fight never happened for some reason or another. And then Duran, of course, took the Leonard fight. But you need that champion, that great champion, that makes other fighters at featherweight and junior lightweight want to fight him. 135 has not had it. I don't know why. But hopefully Robert Easter Jr. can be the guy that, brings our attention, sticks around there. Brings attention back to 135 and rebuild the lightweight division. Now we got some interesting fights the rest of the year. I know Danny Garcia is supposed to fight Andre Berto. Well, I heard there might be some issues with that, money issues with that Andre Berto might have flaked out on that. I'm hoping he didn't. If not, then I hope Danny Garcia fights somebody. He needs to fight, defend the title, keep it active. Um, I know I know that Keith Thurman is due to defend his title against his mandatory, which is another one of those regular champions. The guy that beat Mosley, I don't know his name, but he beat Mosley. He's a WBA, I think he's either regular or interim, whatever, champion. I think no, I think he's the interim. I don't think there's a super champion. I don't, whatever. He's a WBA belt holder. He's Keith Thurman's mandatory. Hopefully we can get Keith Thurman back here this year, Danny Garcia this year, and then finally by the end of the year, before the year ends, Earl Spence Jr. There was talk about him versus Earl Spence Jr. fighting Sean Porter. There was talk about Earl Spence Jr. possibly fighting Lamont Peterson. Either one is a good fight. I'd like to see him do it. And that's going to be it for this one. Like I said, just remember what I told you. This is Doug Wilkerson signing out. Till next time. Enjoy the nights at the fights.